Hey guys, here we are in video number 4, and I'm going to do a brief overview on how to correctly sign up for field trips and how to RSVP for them. And then the next video, I'm actually going to do a preview where I'm going to talk about all of our upcoming field trips so you can give you some more insight on what to expect with those. But for this one, I'm just going to do a basic overview on how to sign up and RSVP for field trips. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is come to our website and then scroll all the way down to our calendar. And when you can see that all of our field trips are in our calendar. And so you can actually go through the different months to find all the different field trips. So one thing that you will notice is that there are the same field trips on multiple days. And the reason why that is, for example, the Natural Grocers, they have multiple because they can only fit 20 people at one time at this field trip, and we have over 300 to 400 people in our group. And so we have to do a lot of field trip rotations to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to attend a field trip. So what you'll see is that, there's a field trip on the 17th from 11 to noon. There's a field trip on the 24th from 11 to noon. So what you will do is you'll just pick any of those field trips. So you'll just pick one that you want to attend. Okay, so if I want to attend the 29th, I pick that one. Okay, this year we don't have field trip groups. There's not assigned field trip groups. You just pick and choose what field trips you want when you want to do them. Okay. We also added new options. So you'll see that we now have Tuesday and Wednesday options because I noticed that a lot of local homeschool events in the area were starting to schedule their stuff on Tuesdays, which was making it kind of hard for our SHN members to be able to attend field trips and also attend community events. So we wanted to be more flexible on that. So we've started adding morning and afternoon field trips, plus Tuesdays and Wednesday field trips. So that way you can pick and choose what time frame and what day of the week works best for your schedule. Now, some field trips you will see they end up being on a Thursday or a Monday or a Friday. I try my hardest to make sure all of our field trips are on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and Tuesday being our main field trip day, but ultimately it's up to our field trip hosts, and sometimes that does not work for them. So, for example, the Natural Grocers, they preferred a Monday. So it just kind of depends on our field trip host. We're kind of at their mercy on what ultimately works best for them. So if you ever see that there's a field trip that's on a different day from a Tuesday and Wednesday, that's why. I know that everyone gets worried, but I thought we were only going to have field trips on these days. Well, we want to make sure that we have lots of options, and that's why there's extra field trips on those days. So you will have... You will be able to pick the day and time that works for you and then RSVP. That's it. So there's no more field trip leaders or field trip groups. So it's super simple. Just find a day and time that works and sign up for it. Now, on the field trips, you'll notice that we have a group leader sign up. Okay. If you are in a time slot and you don't see that we have a team mom or a team leader as a group leader, because we have a lot of field trip groups this year, if you would be willing to, I would really appreciate it if you would sign up as a group leader. All you're doing is committing for that one field trip, that one time, that you are going to be the group leader. You're going to be in the parking lot 10 minutes before the field trip and tell everybody, hey, come over here and let's gather together. You'll look at the Sign Up Genius, make sure everybody's there. If not, let me know who the no-shows and late arrivals are, and take a group picture, because I'm a big person on group pictures. I like to have group pictures of all the field trips. Take a group picture. If you forget, that's totally fine too. Take a group picture and then tell the field trip host when everybody's gathered and ready that you're ready to go. That's it. Very simple. So if you're willing to do that, it'd be greatly appreciated, because we don't have enough team moms to cover all of those field trip spots. So if you'd be a group leader, that'd be great. So you just sign up for that, but you will also need to sign up to attend. So this is just saying, yes, I, Cassie Smith, agree to check in the group. But this is saying I, Cassie Smith, and my son Trayton and my son daughter are attending the group. So you'll need to check both of those, okay? If you can't be a group leader, that's totally fine too. We do not have any volunteer requirements, but it's just super helpful if we have somebody to check in the group. So you can see right here, Carla Butler She has her family RSVP. She's got Carla, Allie, Ava, and Aubrey. So there's 4 of them. But then down here, she is signed up as the group leader for this group. So then all of these people, Kimberly, Summer, and Rachel, all know that they need to look for Carla. She's going to be the person checking them in. Okay. Let's go back to the calendar. So basically, you can just go pick and choose which field trips that you want to attend. The main thing about field trips, though, that I want to talk about too, is we do have rules on no-shows and late arrivals, and we have a very strict enforced policy on that. And the reason why is because we have built up our reputation in the community as being one of the most organized and dependable homeschool groups in the area. We get told that all the time because we do have that strict rule of no-shows. I understand that things come up, and sometimes there's an emergency and you can't make it. And I fully understand emergencies, but there's some things that I don't know how to word it, but it really needs to be a no-show. An emergency if you no-show. Of course, we understand that, but if it's just simple things like, I have a minor headache or something else came up, it really affects our field trip hosts. Like the Naturals Gosher, for example, they're going to have reusable grocery bags and coupons and different things they're handing out to the kids. And so these people are actually preparing for us to be there. They're taking time out of their busy schedule and out of their work day to accommodate our group and to give us an amazing field trip or tour. So it's really important that we're respecting them back by keeping our commitments, showing up on time, and being there when we say that we're going to be there. So same with late arrivals. There is a lot of times when we get to a field trip and they lock the doors behind us. For example, when we went to the Natural Stadium, baseball stadium, they let us in the gate and then they locked the gate behind us. So if you were 2 minutes late, you weren't getting in that gate, okay? Same with factories and manufacturers. Once we go in and they take us behind the seat, they're not going to want to have to pause the entire group and say, hold on, I have to go let so-and-so in that's late. You know what I mean? So I understand things come up, but I want everyone to really, really try to be dependable and be there when you say that you're going to be there, okay? I always, if you know me, I'm always 20, 30 minutes early, because not being 30 minutes early to me is late. So I'm always there super early. If you have a hard time getting up and around, tell yourself that you have to be at that field trip 30 minutes earlier than what you really have to be there. That way you can make sure you be on time. I have a 2-year-old, so I totally understand things can come up, and so a lot of times I'll leave super early just so that I can be prepared to change diapers or to feed her or make her happy before I have to check in everybody in for a field trip group. So just make sure that you're planning accordingly, and that goes with the meeting locations as well, making sure that you're mapping those locations and making sure that you know how far it is and how long it will take you to get there, and then also to remember that traffic. What time of the day is it? Could something come up? And that's, I always tell people, don't shoot for the start time. You need to be early. And that's the thing. On a lot of these emails or on these signups, you'll see that these are the actual start time of the field trip. So it says date 9/17, 11 to 12. This is what time they're going to start talking, okay? This is what time the field trip starts, not what time you need to arrive. Some of them will say arrival time because the field trip host has specifically said, I want you to arrive 30 minutes early. Like we do that with the Walton Art Center shows. We'll put arrival time is at this time. Okay, the show starts at this time. But most field trips, I just put the start time. So you need to make sure that you're showing up at least 10 to 15 minutes earlier than this time. So that way you're checked in and ready to go when the field trip host starts talking. I'm just going to kind of go through the please note area on all the field trips. You'll see below it says please note. Please arrive at least 10 minutes before the field trip starts to gather with the rest of your group at the designated meeting location. So on all of the signups, there's a designated meeting location. So this one is gather quietly at the store entrance. Okay, so quietly because it is a place of business and we need to be respectful. We need to be quiet because they have customers that are coming in and out. and so forth. But we also want to make sure that we're in an area where we're not disturbing their customers that are coming in and out. So make sure that you're in the designated meeting location. Do not enter the field trip area until instructed by either your field trip group leader or the host, okay? So we meet in a certain location so that we're out of the way while we're gathering our people, okay? So you're not going to be inside the store talking to the field trip host. They're trying to prepare. They're trying to get ready. You know, you're going to be where your group is gathering, where the meeting location is at. Please pay close attention to the arrival and start time of the field trip. So like I just discussed, a lot of times it's the start time. So if it's not an arrival time, you need to make sure that you're going 10 to 15 minutes earlier than that start time. Late arrivals and no-shows are strictly enforced. We discussed that, you know, that again, we want to make sure that we have a good reputation with our field trip hosts and that we are showing them how thankful we are for them taking time out of their day by being respectful to the times and the time that we said that we would be there and showing up. Wear your name tags and your field trip t-shirts. So I highly recommend everybody to have, what? I can. Sorry guys, I had a mom for a minute. I highly recommend that you order a field trip t-shirt if you haven't already. These are amazing for field trips and on so many levels. One, you know, when we're at a big location and kids are running around and playing, if you see a kid who's like, you know, going off in an area they shouldn't be, knowing that they're part of our group, I feel more comfortable saying, hey, no, you can't go out there. Let's go find your mom, you know, or you're not allowed to go to that area. So it helps our group leaders, our team moms, myself know who's with our group, other moms know. It's a safety precaution, but it also represents our group and our school. Good job. Name tags. Name tags are required for all field trips. So you need to make sure that you're keeping your name tags somewhere where you're going to remember them. I keep mine on a lanyard and I hang them from my rearview mirror so that way I always have them. You're welcome to order extra name tags just in case you misplace some of them. And that option will be located on the website down by the field trip thing as well. But by the apparel, sorry. But you are required to wear name tags. This is, again, a safety precaution as well. We want to make sure that, one, the people who are with us are part of our group. We don't want to have, you know, some random person with us. So this makes us know that, hey, you're a part of our group, you're supposed to be with us, but also a safety precaution. On the name tags, if you listed an allergy, your allergies will also be listed on the name tags for your kids, so your field trip host knows that, hey, this kid has an allergy or so forth. So name tags are required. Now, although they are required, if you show up to a field trip and you do not have your name tag, still come, okay? Don't run out to don't go back home or decide you're not going to come. We don't want you to miss out on the field trip, but just make sure that is a priority when you're getting ready for a field trip, that name tags is number one on the list. Please be mindful to our field trip group before and after yours by not entering early and not leaving late. So a lot of these field trips are stacked. We have a field trip group going before you and a field trip going after you. So if you're inside and you're still talking and asking tons of questions, it's great. Ask questions. We don't want you to rush, but if you notice that you're going over the time, it might be better for you to, you know, come back later or you know, send them the questions that you may have, because we want to make sure that we are keeping the field trip groups moving and rolling. It takes a huge chunk out of a field trip group or host day. So we don't want to take more of their time for that. So just make sure you're respectful to the group before and after yours. If you have a child that's being disruptive, this includes crying or talking or interrupting and etc. During a field trip, step out. I understand. I have a 2-year-old, and right now we are going through the terrible twos, and fits are not a joke, y'all. It is some serious business. And so I get it. You know, kids are unpredictable, and they're not the nicest human beings all the time. And so I get that. But just take your child and step out, okay? Same with the talking. You know, there's some kids that like to talk a lot. I was one of those kids. I'm still one of those kids. I have a lot to say. And so, but just make sure that when a field trip host is talking, there's a time and place to have conversation. And that goes for you too, moms. You need to make sure that you are that your kids can look up to you, and that you're setting a good example by not talking during the field trips and during the time that an educational workshop host is talking, okay? You are not allowed to drop off your child unless otherwise noted. So normally the only time that we allow drop-offs is like the preteen.
What's that?
Or the teen groups, and again, that needs to be approved with whatever group leader is there. It's a button.
A button?
Here, why don't you go get one of those for me, okay?
Okay.
But at our field trips and social days and so forth, these are not drop-off events. These are family-oriented events, and mom, you are required to be there with your kids or another adult like a grandparent or a dad. So drop-offs are strictly prohibited unless otherwise noted. Guests, non-SHN members must be pre-approved by the director before attending field trips. So this means people outside of the people that you put on your forms. So when you did your membership forms, there was an area where you said other people that may attend with your child. We make name tags for those people. So you'll have name tags for everybody that you wrote down there. So those are automatically pre-approved people to come to field trips with you. I'm talking about people outside of that. So if you have friends staying with you from out of state or family, those are the people that you need to contact me in advance and make sure that it's okay that they attend that field trip. Normally, we have no problem with somebody attending with you. The only time that we really have a problem is if it's a field trip that's really popular and it has limited spaces. We don't want those spaces to be taken by aunts and uncles and, best friends from Californias and so forth. We want to make sure that our members are the ones who are getting those spots. Field trip cancellations must be made by updating your field trip sign up at least 48 hours prior to the field trip. So this is on Sign Up Genius. So if I sign up for Naturals Grocers, I can go back into my account through Sign Up Genius and I can delete that. Make sure that you update any cancellations 48 hours before the field trip, because after that, I'm compiling lists and sending those into our field trip posts, and then this is who they think is coming, okay? I prefer you to do that to make any changes before the cutoff, the RSV cutoff date, because that's 10 days before, and that really helps our host out. But if you can't, try your hardest for 48 hours. Complaints and questions must be sent to the director. Under no circumstances shall a member contact the field trip host directly. We had a few issues with this last year. Do not contact our field trip host, guys. I know that it may be a simple question, or you may want a refund on a field trip or so forth. One, they don't even know that you're the one who paid for that field trip, because I collect your money and I have the list, okay? And then two, sometimes those simple questions, we have 400 people in our group. And so those simple questions, if I have 10 other moms calling on it, it starts to become a nuisance to our field trip host. So if you have any complaints or questions, please direct those towards me. I'm more than happy to help you and get the answers that you need and handle your complaints. Same with using your best judgment for field trips. I guess that's the next thing I was going to read. All our events are at your own discretion. Use your best judgment on events you participate in. So look over that event. It may not be something that you necessarily agree on. There's field trips that I go on that I don't necessarily agree with, but it's a learning experience and learning from a different perspective. That's how we learn, and we get our opinions and our beliefs and our judgments. And so to me, it's important to experience those and learn about it. But if somebody says something that you don't necessarily believe in, just let it go, and use your best judgment on the field trips that you attend. For example, we are going to be visiting the Tyson Discovery Center with the teen group. Not everyone agrees with the way that Tyson treats their chickens, and I totally understand that, but that's not the time or place for you to protest against chicken rights, okay? That can be done on your own time, not during on SHN time. Same with, if somebody talks about they use GMOs and you're highly against it, or they talk about, we visited a dairy farm one time and they said that they're against organic or raw milk, and not everyone agreed with that. That's okay. You don't have to agree with it, but we are at their location and they are our host, and so we need to be respectful and mindful to that. So just because you don't agree to something does not mean that we need to protest or, you know, start an argument at a field trip location. We need to make sure that we're respectful and to make sure that you're using your own discretion and best judgment before you're RSVPing for that event. Your children are your responsibility, not the SHN team moms or the field trip host. So again, our team moms are strictly in place just to make sure that the events run smoothly. They're my like planning helpers, basically, you know, my organization helpers. They're helping, telling you where, you know, where to go and what to do and all that kind of stuff. But your children are your responsibility. They are not the team mom's responsibility to discipline. So if you see that your child is, you know, not listening or doing something that's disruptive, you need to be the one who is getting onto them. SHM team moms are there to make sure that trips run smoothly, not to watch your children, which we just talked about. And please make sure that your children are respecting the field trip properties and hosts at all times. So this is a big one. One, we need to be respectful for our host, which we've never really had a big problem with that in the past, you know, besides talking or so forth. But property is a big one. Not all facilities want your kids climbing on their trees or in their garden beds. Oh, sorry, my daughter just turned on the TV or the radio. Stacy. Okay, so not all field trip hosts want your kids climbing up in their trees or tearing up their flower beds, which I don't think anybody would want to. So if there's a flower bed and it has edging around it, that means that you're not supposed to be stepping in it. So it's important that we're respecting the property. We're not climbing on their walls. We're not tearing up their stuff. We're not standing on tables. We're not picking, you know, flowers out of a flower bed. We want to make sure that we're helping them keep their property nice and beautiful, which they've obviously worked hard to do. So we need to make sure that not only are we respecting our host, but we're respecting their property. You must be illness-free for at least 24 hours before attending an SHN event. I get questions about this all the time, and moms, use your best judgment. You know your kids and their symptoms better than I do. This is just a basic rule that we don't want you to come to a field trip if you're vomiting or if you're running a fever, okay? If you have sniffles and it's allergy related, then come. I don't know if it's a cold. You may not know if it's cold, but just use your judgment, your best judgment as a mom before attending a field trip when it has to do with any type of illness. In the event a field trip is canceled, notifications will be sent out via Remind email and posted on Facebook group. Again, make sure that you sign up for that Remind page that I showed you in the first video that is on our website, because I send out a lot of notifications on that. And so just make sure, if you can, before you head to a field trip, track your email in your Facebook group. Make sure that nothing's gotten canceled. It rarely happens that a field trip host cancels. Last year we had a couple cancellations because their kids were sick. But again, that happens rarely, but it does happen. So you want to make sure that you're informed before you drive all the way over there and get your kids loaded up in the car. So those are just some reminders before heading to a field trip. I know it may seem like a lot, and it's not meant to be a burden on anybody, but we want to make sure that we're keeping our reputation up and that we are setting a good example for all homeschoolers in the area, because we know that we don't always get the best reputation, and so this is just another way for us to show the community how awesome we actually are, right? So make sure you remember these things, and I've just included these on all the field trip signups just as a friendly reminder. So again, I feel like I've lost track of what I've went over, but all the information for the field trip is here. Most of our field trips this year are free. We don't have very many that aren't, or that aren't. Yeah, we have a few that cost, mainly our big events. And when they do cost, again, you go to the website and you can pay for your field trips right here through PayPal, or you can mail them in with check or cash with a field trip order form to the P.O. box that will be supplied on the order form or taken to a social day. Let me see, did I go over everything? So this year is pretty simple. You don't have designated field trips. You can pick and choose which ones you want to go to, what works best for your family. And I know sometimes a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, there's too many events, it's overwhelming. And I understand that, but a lot of field trips we repeat. So we go to the XNA Airport about every other year, or the Rocky Branch Schoolhouse. We do all of those field trips. We just kind of rotate them out so they're not every single year. And so if you miss a field trip, we'll most likely have it again. So don't feel like you have to go to every one of them. If a field trip fills up, if field trip dates and times are first come, first serve. So I'm not talking about like you wanted a Tuesday and the Tuesday filled up and you don't want a Wednesday, but there's a Wednesday spots. I'm talking if Tuesday and Wednesday and all the spots fill up and you didn't get an opportunity to attend that field trip, shoot me a message because I have no idea sometimes, or I don't realize at the time that they filled up. I'm more than happy to schedule another field trip rotation if I need to do that. So don't feel like, oh no, I missed out. They're all full and now I can't attend. No, we want you to attend. We want you to experience that trip. So just reach out to me and let me know and I'll make sure to get another one scheduled for you. So that's kind of a breakdown on RSVPing for field trips. When you click on a field trip, oh, I have something important to talk about. Okay, so when you click on a field trip, so I'm going to just open up a new one so you guys can see start from finish. So here's the James and James. I'm going to copy it, right click, go to the link, okay? It's going to pull up on Sign Up Genius. So one, make sure that you create an account with Sign Up Genius, guys. This is so important because you are going to be editing, you're going to be changing your sign-ups and so forth, and the only way you're going to be able to edit and change those is if you have an account with Sign Up Genius. It's 100% free, but you cannot make any changes if you just go in there and sign up. So make sure that you sign up for an account. Also, by doing that, you want to make sure you have a valid email and that you have any notification settings set up, because I am not sending out field trip reminders via email. You get a field trip reminder 2 days before all your field trips with Sign Up Genius. So I have all of these field trips set up that it sends you a reminder that you signed up for that field trip 2 days before it, okay? So you're not going to get an extra reminder from me. Oh, hold on, guys. Sorry. You're welcome, baby. Sorry about that. So you want to make sure, I don't want you to depend on getting a reminder from me. Make sure that you have a valid email and that if you're signed up, you'll get that email 2 days before the trip, okay? But what's really cool is when you open up a field trip, the first thing you're going to see is it says September events. So all of these September field trips are right here in one tab, okay? So you don't have to keep going over to the calendar and clicking it and then opening it. They are all saved right here, okay? So you can sit there and click through them and start RSVPing for them. Then at the top right hand side, you'll see it says show more signups. If you click the little arrow, it pulls up all the other months. So then I can go to October and it's going to pull up all the October events. So all of your signups are going to be here and they're all tabbed and grouped together so they're easy for you to find. The only thing is on the field trips where I have they have multiple dates and times and go through multiple months. For example, teen meetups. The teen sign up currently is only under the August one, even though in the sign up it has our August date, our September date, and October date. And I will move these over once August over. So when August ends, I'll move this over to September. So some of the field trips that go through multiple months are not in all the months. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. So like the Naturals Grocer, for example, the Grocer field trips start in September. So let's pull that up right here. So it's under the September events because that's the start of it. But Natural Grocers actually goes all the way through November or December. Okay? But it's not going to be listed under the December events because I can only put that tab under one event. But I'll try to make sure that I keep moving those over. But just know that some of the events that are through multiple months will be in the month that it started in if it's not in the current month. Okay? So this makes it really nice and organized and easy to find. You can just go through all the field trips and click through all the months as I add trips. So there's a few February events already put up. Like the Living Wax Museum is already up, so you can already RSVP for that. I've already got the Valentine's Day party information set up, so I'll be adding that today sometime, so that will be on here. So as I add events, they're going to be updated here. On Sign Up Genius and here on the calendar, okay? So that's kind of a brief overview on how to sign up for field trips and where to find anything. If you have any questions or need any help, please please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you, or post on our Facebook group. Our members are so helpful. Our team moms are amazing. They are more than happy to help you out. You'll notice sometimes if you ask a question, somebody will jump in and answer it for me. Because I do all the planning and organizing myself. It takes me a lot of hours, and so sometimes I'm not able to respond immediately, and it may take me a couple of days to respond. And so my team moms and our members are just so helpful in that area. So if you have a question or don't understand something, post it, and somebody there will help you out. So, all right. Well, that was a brief overview of our field trips and how to RSVP for them. I'm going to do another one to talk to you guys about our August through December events, and I'm actually going to go more into depth about each of the field trips. So watch for that video next. Thanks.